Shalom Aleichem, everybody. And Yirtzeh Hashem, today we're going to be doing Daf Vav and Avodah Zarah. We start from Daf Yomi Beis in the middle, by the two dots. Mishnah says that Gimel Yomim, Asur Losses Velosis Yimoim, that 3 days before a non-Jewish holiday, you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to do business with a goy. Gemara asks, do you need that much? You have to be choishish that far in advance that if you're going to do business with them, either they're going to be makriv, whatever you sell to them, the behema, to an Avodah Zarah on their holiday, or they're going to be moida, they're going to thank their God for the profit they made. At this point, the Gemara believes right now that that the reason is because of lifnei iver, because they're going to take the behema and be makriv at Avodah Zarah. So the Gemara asks, do you need that far in advance to be suspicious that far in advance that they're going to do that? But not. There are 4 times a year when you sell a behema to a friend, you have to tell him that very same day, if you sold an animal, the mother of the calf, let's just say, and then you sold the child, there's an isser of you're not allowed to shecht a mother and a calf, her calf, on the same day. So it doesn't matter if it's the same gavra, it's in the cheft. So you're not allowed to have a mother and a calf shechted on the same day. It doesn't matter if it's 2 different people. So if you sell a mother to one person and a calf to another person, you have to let them know not to shecht it on the same day. If you first sold a mother, say, hey, ima macharti lishchait, or bita macharti lishchait. And it's only 4 times a year. Why? Because those 4 times a year, you can be sure that they're going to shecht it that day, because that's when they need the meat. Erev Yantav Achron Shel Chag, Erev Yantav Achron Shel Chag, which is Shmini Atzeres, Erev Shmini Atzeres, Erev Yantav Rishon Shel Pesach, Erev Pesach, Erev Atzeres, Erev Shua, Erev Rosh Hashanah. And Erev Rosh Hashanah, Kediv Rabbi Yosef Lila, Af Erev Yom Kippur Bagol, even Erev Yom Kippur in Golo. So what do you see from here? You don't need 3 days. If you have a chashash, they're going to be makar of the animal that you sell to them. The chashash only lasts perhaps for the day before, but not 3 days in advance. So why does the Mishnah say you have to be choishish 3 days in advance? They're going to take that behema and shecht it for their Avodah Zarah on their holiday. Answers the Gemara, over there, the Mishnah in Chulin, when we're talking about darba prokim bashana, you have to let a person know if you sold the mother and the calf on the same day because you're afraid they're going to shecht it that day or the next day. That's only once lachila. That's b'chad yoyma. That's only 1 day. Hachad al-hakrava. But when a guy buys an animal to be makriv to their Avodah Zarah, then they go shopping a little earlier for the right animal to be makriv, and therefore you have to be choishish 3 days. Asks the Gemara, 30 days before Yom Tov, you already start dealing with Hilchas Pesach. Now the Gemara asks the opposite, right? Is it enough 3 days? And the Gemara first asked, you shouldn't need 3 days. That's too far in advance. 1 day. Now the Gemara asks from a different brisa. It says Shoyl Hilchas Pesach. It says 2 weeks. But either way, it's more than 3 days. And says the Gemara, we, because we're so makbid, right? Even on a doikin shiba ayin, a cataract in the eye that passes the carbon lakrava, you can't bring it on the mizbeach. That's why 30 days, because 30 days like an esrog, right? You go 2 weeks before Sukkot. Hopefully, you don't go the day before, 3 days before. Some people do, because between Pesach, Sukkot and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur and Sukkot. But usually, yeah, you need to be very careful with what you buy. So you need enough time in advance to go shopping. But for a guy, the only psol in a carbon is mechusar aver, right? It's missing a leg. It's missing something that is essential for the aver to be connected and alive. So therefore, that's enough 3 days. How do I know that you're not allowed to be makriv? Mechusar aver, ben noyach is not allowed to be makriv mechusar aver. T'chsiv mikol achai, mikol basa shnai mikoyom, tovi lateva. Lahachis itach. Mikol achai is extra. Right? I could have said Mikol Basar Shnai Mikol. What's Mikol Achai? Amr Torah Have Behema Shechai and Roshei Avarim Shalah. Make sure they bring a behema where the Roshei Avarim are Chayim. Yeah, it can't be Mechusar Aver. So that's the source for Ben Noyach, that he cannot be Makriv of Mechusar Aver Lashamayim. Gemara says, "Hai Miboil Lemuute Treifa Deloi." What do you mean? Mikol Achai is not Lemuute Mechusar Aver. It's not coming to exclude Mechusar Aver. It's coming to exclude Treifa. It's a whole different problem. Right? A treifik is not called mikol achai, it's going to die. So the Gemara says, no, treifim l'chai is zera nafka. There's another pasuk that I know treifa from. That l'chai is zera because a treifik can be moiled. And And it says in the pasuk, bring an animal that can reproduce, and a treifa can't reproduce. Ask the Gemara, I understand only Omar that says treifa cannot be moiled. Then I understand that it's being the smite from already that pasuk of l'chayei zera. If you say treifa is moiled, then you can't exclude it from l'chayei zera, because then a treifa could be included in that. It can be moiled, it can reproduce. So it must be that you need the pasuk of mikol achai to exclude treifa, and you don't have the pasuk available for mechusar aver. Answers the Gemara, Omar Kra? No. Still, even if you hold treifa yoledes, I have another pasuk in my treifa. It says itach. It says tovi lateva lahachias itach, which means bedoimen lach. Has to be similar to you, Noach. Just like you're not a treifa, just like you could be moiled, you can reproduce. Also, all the animals itach has to be bedoimen lach. They cannot be a treifa. Asks the Gemara, how are you so certain? How are you so sure that Noach wasn't a treifa? Maybe he himself was a treifa. Says the Gemara, no, Tamim Ksivbe. It says Tamim, he was whole. And if he would have been a treifa, it doesn't pass the word shalem, it doesn't pass the word Tamim. Maybe it's referring to his behavior, his ways. He was Tamim b'drachav, not b'gufay. Maybe he was still a treifa. Whereas it's tzaddik Sivbe, that already I know, because it says tzaddik. Whereas Tamim b'drachav, tzaddik b'maisav hava. Maybe it's two different things. One in character and one in behavior and what he did. Right, his character was, he was an onav, he was a shval ruach, he was humble, right? That's tamim. He was complete in the ways of Hashem. But tzaddik b'maisav also, he wasn't the ganav, he wasn't the ganav, didn't steal, he was mamish clean, he had clean hands as well. You know, you can't say Noach was a treifa for a different reason. Because if you're going to say Noach was a treifa, Amalei Rachmana, Kavasach Ayel, Shleiman, Loita Ayel. So Hashem says, Itach means bedoimen lach, means you should only bring treifa. How are you going to explain Itach? Right? If he was taka treifa, then it doesn't make sense the word Itach. Like only treifas you should bring, but not Shleiman, Loita Ayel, doesn't make any sense. Whereas it's Vahashda Nafkale, Mi'itach Sataka, now that you're learning out from Noach, that from Itach, that Noach couldn't bring a treifa, so L'chayei zera lamali. So what is L'chayei zera teaching you? Right? Before we thought L'chayei zera is teaching you L'may treifa, but Gemara says no. According to Manda Omer, that treifa is moiled, can be L'may from L'chayei zera because treifa is moiled. So we're going to be L'may from Itach. So what are you going to do L'chayei zera? Says the Gemara, Im Itach avamino letzafsa ba'alma. If I would have learned it from the Itach, right? I would have thought Hashem says, look, I want you to have a chevra. I want you to have a community, right? Animals, right? What do they call it when you go into a plane with a dog, right? These kinds of animals that are emotional support. Anyways, letzafsa ba'alma. But that's why you can't have a treifa, because treifa is going to die. It's not going to keep you company. It's not going to be able to do the job that you need it to do. But a treifa that's not a behemoth, a behemoth's not a treifa, right? A philosophic, a philosaurus, maybe you could bring on because Rachman is zera. So I would have thought the treifa was nismayat from Itach Stam because Noach needed company and they're going to die. So that's why, and from Mamela Lefiza, Zokan and Saurus would qualify. So that's why L'chayei zera is teaching you not even Zokan and Saurus. Says the Gemara Boilahu Shloishi Yomim Hen ve'edeyan. Oi, Dilma and Beloy Deim. It says 3. Do we include the holiday as part of the 3 or no? Is it 2 days before the holiday, including the holiday, which totals 3, or do we need 3 complete days before the holiday itself? So it says Toshama, Rabbi Shmuel, Shloish lefnei, Shloish lachrayim osir. It says in the Mishnah Zainam Beis. It says 3 days before. Rabbi Shmuel's shita is 3 days before and 3 dadays after. If you're going to tell me that the holidays included Rabbi Shmuel. Yom Eidayan Chashav Lahu Meikara v'Chashav Lahu B'Sayif. Kumtais that the same day is counted twice. The day of the holidays counted Meikara, counted with the Shlosh Yom Lefnei Eidayan, because that's part of the 3, and then the same day is counted for Lachareyan, for the 3 days after. So Gemara says, can't be. So must be. It's without it. It's not included the holiday itself. Answers the Gemara, no. I did the Tani Shlosh Lefnei, Tam Nami Shlosh Lachareyan. Really, I'll tell you that the holiday is only included in the 3 days before, not the 3 days afterwards. So why does it shleish lachreim? It's just to be mashva, the lashon, to equate the language, but really that wouldn't be a kasha, that wouldn't be a raya. Whereas Shmuel says on that Mishnah, on that Shitas Rabbi Shmuel, he says Yom Rishon, those goyim that celebrate Sunday, Mamish Sunday, S-U-N, sun, right? The sun. Yom Rishon, that's the sun, the holiday for the sun. Come to is that the whole week it would be usher to do business with them that whole week when they're celebrating Sunday. Why? Because again, Sunday is the holiday itself. So 3 days before, which means it's usher to do business with them on Saturday, Friday, and Thursday, and 3 days after, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, plus the Sunday, which is the Etzem holiday. So that's why if you say hen ve'edayan, that the 3 includes the yontiv itself, so then you're not going to have that cheshbon. It's not going to be la'olam aser. Shmuel says, according to Rabbi Yishmael, it's la'olam aser. The whole week is aser. But if you say it's hen ve'edayan, the whole week is not aser, because you still have Wednesday and Thursday. Why? Because only 2 days before and 2 days after. 2 days before is Saturday and Friday, and 2 days after is Monday, Tuesday, but you still have Wednesday, Thursday. So it must be that the shloish lefem, shloish lachreim doesn't include the yom ha'ed, the holiday itself, and that's why Shmuel says, according to Rabbi Shmuel, la'olam aser. Says the Gemara, you're right. Avad, according to Shmuel, I have no shaila. Dehen below yadein. Because you have a raya from Shmuel that it must be without the holiday. It's 3 days, 3 complete days before and 3 complete days after. What about the according to Rabbanon? Rabbanon, what's the raya according to Rabbanon when they say only 3 days before? Does it include the holiday or not? These are the Roman holidays. It's Rome. They had holidays that Chazal said it's osir to do business with them 3 days before. What are the holidays called? Kalenda, Starnura, Krotisim. Kalenda is, when does it fall out? It's 8 days before Tkufas Tevis. Tkufas Tevis is referring to the winter season, right? There are 4 Tkufas, 4 seasons. And Tkufas Tevis is the winter season where the days get shorter until it reaches the shortest day. And 8 days before the shortest day, that's the holiday of Kalenda. Shmoini Yom Afnei Tkufa. 8 days after the Tkufa, which means the days start getting longer. And if you're going to tell me that it's including the Eid itself, asks the Gemara, Asara Hava. Yeah, it's 10. 10 days that are Asr b'Masa v'Matan. So, doctor. Asara Hava, it's 10 days. So the Gemara says, Tana kula kalenda chad yomu chashavlei. The whole calendar, right? In other words, if you include the holiday, if you don't include the holiday, so it's 3 days before calendar, right? That's it, 3 days before calendar. But if you include the holiday, so the holiday lasts 8 days, so it's 2 plus the holiday, so now you have 10 days. Where it says Tana kula kalenda chad yomu chashavlei. No, that's all considered 1 day. It's not a raya. It could be that it includes the 8, but it's all 1 day. Mamela, that's what he's referring to it as 3 days. Amr Rav Ashi Toshima. Another right from our Mishnah. It says that you can't do business with them 3 days before their holiday. And if you're going to tell me that the 3 days is together with the holiday itself, listen to a day and shall It should say, you're not allowed to have interaction or business with them. You're not allowed to do business with them because it includes the aid. It should word it differently. Yeah? If you're going to tell me the lefnei edain, the reason why it's worded lefnei edain, the shlosh yamim is lefnei, is because we want to be mamayt la'achrei day and listen to Edom shel oivdei kechavim shlosh yomim lefneim. Again, it should have worded differently. It should have said Edom shel oivdei kechavim shlosh yomim lefneim. Elashma mino hen below yadein. So from the language of our Mishnah, it sounds like the 3 days the chachamim aser to do business with goyim before their holiday, it doesn't include the holiday itself. Shma mino, that's a good raya. Now we have another shayla. Liboilu. What if a guy is over on this takanas chachamim, right? Mishum arvacha? No, sorry, I jumped the gun. That's not the Gemara's shayla. Different shayla. Iboilu. Mishum arvacha? Idom mishum lefnei ivil asitem nech shayla. Is the iser mishum arvacha, which means that a guy is going to profit and he's going to thank their Avodah Zarah for the profit that they made off of you, and it says v'shem lehem echem midasham al picha. You can't be the goyim for somebody else to serve Avodah Zarah. Idom mishum lefnei ivil asitem nech shayla. Maybe you're going to take the behema. They can take the behema you sold them, and they're going to be makravit, and then you're being machshel him in the Isra Avodah Zarah, which is Shev Mitzvah B'nei Noach. That's lefnei iver. Says the Gemara, Lamay nafkamina. Maisa, what's the chilik, whether it's arvacha or lefnei iver? Both are aser. Is there a chilik? Says the Gemara, yes. The islay behema l'didei. The chilik is if he has his own behema. If you tell him it's Mishmar Vacha, it doesn't matter if he has his own behemoth that he can be makar of Avodah Zarah. Why? Because he's having a profit, and once he gets profit, he's going to go thank the Avodah Zarah, and that's the Isser. If he says that's the problem. It's not a problem when you could do it on your own. You have your own behemoth. Is it possible if you have your own behemoth? The guy has his own behemoth. He's not over. The yid is not over. How do I know a person can't pass over a kois of yayin to a nazir? A nazir is not allowed to drink wine. But even is not allowed to drink, not allowed to eat even chai. You can't pass it. Talmud loymer v'lifnei iver l'sitem mechshel. V'achad dichilo yavinu le'shakla. What do you mean? It's available. It's on the table. He can get it himself, right? And still, ka'over l'sitem mechshel. The yid is still over. So why are you telling me that the nafkamina between arvacha and lifnei iver is if the guy has another animal? If he does, then he's not over lifnei iver. What do you mean? Here in the brisa you see that he is. He mamash is. Mor says no. Here we're talking about where the nazir or the guy, the benayach, wouldn't have been able to access. He wouldn't have been able to get to the Evim Menachai or the Kois Shal Yayin. So you facilitated that Aveira. He only could have done it through you, and mail over there you're over from the Iver. Daikanam, it doesn't say give it to him. It says you can't pass it. Stretch your arms out or whatever, get it to him. Meaning you couldn't get it without you. Shmamino, that's the only time you're over. Lifnei Iver Sita Mechshel. Now Tos over here says that why does the Brisa only talk about Kois Yayin Lanazir? Right? And Taisa says because what about other isurim for a yid, right? Ben noyach is even a chai. But what about it's not only for a nazir? Talk about a regular yid passing over something to a regular yid. So Taisa says no. Near duadim b'chol shar isurim avada. Brisa could have talked about all the other isurim, which also is subject to lifnei iver. So why are we talking? Because oh yeah, that's right. The doctor is saying that you be Messiah de Avera because even if it's no lifnei iver, it's still you still over Messiah, right? If he could have gotten himself. Tais is talking about the lashon, the example, the Brisa Chapson of Kois Yayin Lanozer. Why is it Kois Yayin Lanozer, not any other Isser? So Tais says because with any other Isser, you don't have to assume that if you pass it to a Yid, he's going to be over an Avera. There's no Isser in passing something to a Yid, even if, let's say, an Avela Treifa. A Yid doesn't need an Avela Treifa, right? So maybe you're not choishish that passing it over to you doesn't, it's not Isser. He says, Hoshel in Avela, Chazer, and the Chashdoi, Tais says, you're not choishish a Yid, he's going to be over an Avera, so it's no problem being Moishid him. But only by a Nazir is a problem. Why? Because Dukula Alma Chamru Shasa, everybody drinks wine. Right? He's sitting at the table, everybody's drinking wine. So maybe Shachan is Zerusa, maybe he's going to forget it. So by you passing it to him, he might have forgotten in that moment, and he's going to be over an Isser B'Shoigig, and for that you have a Isser of Lifnei Iver L'Sita Mechsha.
Yain is also big Yitzhak.
Oh, doctor is a neurologist, and he deals with many different cases, addictions and all that kind of stuff. And he says, big Yitzhak is wine, alcohol. Alcohol could also be different. Okay, I love that. Amazing. But the question is, so Mila Nazir, right? Who knows? Could be that's why he's Nazir Naziris, because he's trying to get rid of his addiction. He wanted to put an Isra on him, and now he's. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so the Gemara. Oh, now we have another shayla. Boilu, Nosav and Nosan Mai. What happens if Itaka does business with them? He's over on the Isser Tkanis Chachamim. He does business 3 days before their holiday. Yeah, Shlokish says it's Aser. Shlokish says it's Mutter. Shlokish Edein Shlokish Nasan Nasur my love of Neidei and ask Rabbi Yoel to Shlokish. It says Mefurish in the Brisa that it's Nasan Nasur and like Rabbi Yoel and presumably it's Lefnei Edein. Shlosh Yomim Lefnei. Where says Lo Edein Davke. Even Rish Lakish agrees that on the holiday itself, if you sold him something, then Avad that's Aser. Ikadam Eser Shlokish Rabbi Yoel Edein Shlokish Nasan Aser. A day and end, lefnei a day and loy. Presumably it's on their holiday, but 3 days before it's not also. It's a kashan of Yechanan. Whereas Tani Idvi day and Karlay. No, it means even before. And Mela, it's called a day and already 3 days before, and that's why it's not a kashan of Yechanan. Whereas Tani Kavasei Rish Lakish, we have a brisa that brings a right to Rish Lakish that if he violated the Tkanis Chachamim, he's allowed to benefit from the prophet. Only something that's going to be in the world is going to be in a skayim until the holiday itself. But let's say it's vegetables that are going to rot by the time the holiday comes in. Loi, there it's not osir to sell it to him. Why? Because by the time the holiday comes in, right, even if it's arvacha, I'm not going to thank the Avodah Zarah if it's already gone, right? So maybe it's mutter. Afilu b'davar meskayim, nosa v'nosan, mutter. If you're over before the holiday, you sold it to them, but davar meskayim, still it's mutter ba'ano. The mekach is mutter ba'ano. So it's mefurish the brayso like Rish Lakish that if a guy violates the kadas chachamim and he does business with a guy 3 days before the holiday, he's mutter to have a no from the mekach. Toner is a bit davar shein meskayim moichrin lehen. Aval ein loikchen mayhem. By davar shein meskayim. Until the holiday itself, you could sell to a guy, but you can't buy it from them. So here also, because by buying it from them, it's davar shein meskayim. They're happy to get rid of it. They're happy to get rid of it. That's right. This is the Gemara story. Ready? Story. Whom know? There was a mint. The Shadla didn't like there was a guy. I guess there was a new currency in town, right? Every time the king decided there was a new king and a new emperor, they wanted to put their face on the coins, so they have new coins, new currency, and he brought it to Rabbi Yoel on his holiday. Rabbi Yosef Shlokish Kamei. Shlokish was an Amoira. Rabbi Yoel was a grandson of Rabbi Yoel. That's why it's called differently. Rabbi Yoel he was also in the time of Shlokish already. So Mamela, they had a conversation. Shlokish was sitting in front of Rabbi Omar, he said, "Hey, Avad, Ashkelei, Ozla Moida, he's going to thank the Avodah Kechavim, his Avodah Zarah, because he's happy that an important Yid like me accepted his gift. So I don't accept it. Lo Ashkelei, but if I don't accept Avle Eva, he's going to hate me for it. And he's going to cause pain to another Yid because I offended him. Go ahead and throw it into a pit in front of him. Omar, so he said, what do you mean? He's probably going to hurt a Yid for that. He's going to be offended. Where's the kol achayad ke'imna? Do it kol achayad. Rashi says shelo yovan shemedai te'shlachtoi. He shouldn't realize that you did it intentionally. The kima sherish avim chol yismach. Rashi says Shlokish told him an eitzah. He's going to see that you lost it. Then he's going to be happy. Somebody here said in the shiur the other day that's where maybe Rav Shaul said that's where Rashi, the famous story with Rashi's father, Rabbi Yitzchak. The story goes. I don't remember where. We were kids, we were growing up with the Maisa. I don't know where the source for that is, but he had a precious diamond and the king wanted it. And he said, I'll bring it to the king. And he pretended like it fell into the ocean because he knew the king was going to use it for Avodah Zarah.
But by Yosef Moga Shabbos, there's a similar story too.
Oh yeah? What happened there?
Because the goy, he wanted to buy fish for Shabbos.
Yeah.
That was his specialty.
Yosef Moga Shabbos, yeah.
Yes. So the guy forced him to spend a lot of money. Yes. And he paid an enormous amount of money to get a fish for Shabbos. Yeah. And then the guy put the pearl, or what he bought, in his hat. He bent over the river, and his hat and the pearl fell, and they fell inside the fish.
And he found it. Yes, Meir Shabbos found it. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's the Maisa. That's a beautiful Maisa. But here we're talking about where he told him to pretend like he's doing it unintentionally, kalachayad, but really he's doing it intentionally. Okay. Lamaisa, what do you see from here? That if not for that eitzah, it could be it's mutter to do business with a guy on Erev, their holiday.
You have to know the criteria for
Yeah, if it's Eva, right? If it's not Eva, right? Okay. Zukt the Gemara v'Tlash Elon v'Lishalman. We learned in the Mishnah that you also not allowed to borrow from them or lend to them. Mishlam v'Lash Elon, to lend to them. I understand the Kamarvechlu because they benefit by taking a chayfetz that belongs to you and they can use it. So they're going to be moeded to Avodah Zarah. V'Lishalman, but to borrow from them, now they're missing. So what's the chashash? Rabbi Gzeira Lishalman v'Tlash Elon. It's a Gzeira that if you borrow from them, you're going to come to lend to them as well, and then they're going to be moed l'Avodas Kacham. Rabbi Amar Kula Mishum Da'azla Maidu. No. Even when a Yisrael borrows Hagam, they're missing the item that they're lending to the Jew, but he is happy that the Jew needed him. Yeah, a Jew needs a guy, it makes the guy happy. And not just that, when Chananel adds, he says he's going to attribute that item that he had to lend to the Yid to the Avodah Zarah that he has. See, look, I have assets that other people, a Yid has to come onto. Where did I get it from? He's going to trace it back and source it as Avodah Zarah. And that's why it's kulam shem da'azla maidu. Malvoisav l'uvas mehem. What about borrowing or lending to them? Right? Because you are lending the money. They need money, so they're going to be happy. But to borrow from them, they're missing. It's a gzeira that if you borrow from them, you're going to come to lend to them. No, the whole thing is because Azla Maida. Why? Because he's happy that a Yisrael needs to borrow money from him. I'm just finishing up from the other day. We're going to start in a minute. Okay. Says the Gemara, the same shackle. I understand to pay them back because now they got their payments. So they're going to be happy. They're going to go to the Avodah Zarah and they're going to thank the Avodah Zarah. But to force them to pay you back, you're basically making them lose money. Same Gzeir, Rabbi says in all these cases, She'ela halva and Priyas Chayv is all Gzeir lefroya mehen, atul payran. That you're not allowed to force them to pay you back because you might also pay them back. It's also he's going to come be made. He's going to be made to Avodah Zarah because now he can sleep better at night and he doesn't have the chayiv on his head. Okay, says the Gemara weiter. Why do we have to teach all these 4 cases? They're variations of the same halacha, right? It's kulam shem da'azla moidu by she'ela, by alva, by priyas chayiv, right? So why do we need all of them? Tzrichi, says the Gemara. The tona losses v'lasimoyin. If it just would have said losses v'lasimoyin shem tekamar v'chlu v'azla moida, because the Yisrael, right, is creating a profit for them, and the Ovet Kechavim is going to thank the Avodah Zarah because he profited from the Yid. Avolishal man the but to borrow from them that you're being mamayit, the guy shaper dami, maybe that would be okay because we're not chayshish that the guy is going to want to thank the Avodah Zarah if he lends you something, you borrow from him. Yeah, it's chashav for a guy to lend something to a yid because the yid needs him. But to borrow from them is only tsar. Why? Omar tuvle hajazuzi, because he's not he's worried. He's worried he's never going to see the money back. If you just would have said lulvus man, because he says I'm going to force him to pay me back. And he's going to thank the Avodah Zarah that the Yid needed him. But to force them to pay back a chayiv that they're never going to see the money back, maybe that's mutter because there's a tsar there. No, even such a case where you force a guy to pay back a chayiv, it's also a chashash that they're going to thank the Avodah Zarah because now they have a clean slate and they don't have the pressure of paying back anymore. They've done it. Tzricha, therefore, you need all these 4 cases of masa matan, she'ela, halva, and priyas chayiv. Okay. So we'll stop at the 2 dots, and tomorrow we'll continue. Yetz Hashem to Daf Zayin.